In the arid deserts of the wildspire wastes, life itself can be challenging, but somehow, against all odds, life has found a way. The creatures here have evolved and adapted to the harsh, unforgiving terrain. For them, each day in the wastes is a fight for survival. Today in the wastes, the thunderous crash of battle hangs heavy in the air. A pair of Diablos lock horns, a dispute over territory. The contenders size each other up, looking for a sign of weakness, each waiting for the other to back down. The Diablos' twin horns, majestic weapons. They're unlike anything else on the planet. And when a Diablos' temper flares, these massive horns are put to use with terrifying grace and power. My name is Strawfoot, and this is the Diablos, the Tyrant of the Sands. The flying wyvern known as Diablos was introduced in the first game of the series in 2004 in the original Monster Hunter. Despite its terrifying appearance, the Diablos is actually an herbivore. It is well adapted to the arid environments and desert climates it calls home. Its light tan scales reflect the harsh rays of the sun, keeping its body cool. Its primary food sources are giant cactuses, which are both nourishing and hydrating. Despite its classification as a flying wyvern, the Diablos rarely flies. Flying is just too much work. It takes too much energy to lift its massive armor-plated body into the skies. Besides, the Diablos has a much more effective means of escape. When threatened, a Diablos burrows into the sand. Diablos is a wall to the progression of many fledgling hunters. Its attacks are erratic, difficult to predict, and extremely violent. Diablos is a hyper-aggressive monster that rarely gives hunters time to breathe between its unrelenting attacks. That said, it does have its weaknesses. For reasons unknown, the Diablos is extremely sensitive to loud noises. When a Diablos burrows into the sand, the clever hunter can launch a sonic bomb or screamer pod to startle it. This will cause the Diablos to become trapped in the sand. You can also trick a Diablos into getting its horn stuck in a wall or wildspire. To do this, simply lure it into a charge and then evade out of the way at the last moment, letting it crash headlong into the spire or wall. This creates a fantastic opening for other hunters to attack. The Diablos also has an elemental weakness to ice. It's extremely weak to ice-type attacks, so be sure to bring an ice weapon with you on your hunt. The Diablos' head is weak to impact-type attacks. The Diablos' chest and tail are weak to cutting-type attacks. So if you're hunting a Diablos, it's important that impact weapons, such as hammers, hunting horns, or a gunner's exhaust shots, be aimed at the monster's head, and cutting-type attacks should be aimed at the monster's chest and tail. It's best to avoid attacking the wings and feet of the monster when possible, as these take little damage. There are several larger variants or subspecies of the Diablos. These are the Massacre Demon Diablos from Monster Hunter Double Cross, the Hardcore Diablos from Monster Hunter Frontier, and the Gilded Diablos in Monster Hunter Explorer. The most notable subspecies of the Diablos, however, is the Black Diablos. Strangely enough, however, the Black Diablos is not actually a true subspecies. In fact, a Black Diablos is simply a female Diablos in heat. When a female Diablos enters heat, her scales harden and darken in color. It's unknown whether this change in coloration is simply a side effect of the scales hardening, or if it serves some other purpose, such as attracting a mate or warning off predators. And of course, we can't talk about Diablos subspecies without at least mentioning the Diablos' single-horned cousin, the Monoblos. Now it's true, the Monoblos is not a subspecies of the Diablos. It is in fact defined in-game as a separate species. There are many obvious similarities between the two monsters, and hunters have long speculated on what exactly their relationship is. I've even heard some hunters say that the Monoblos is the male of the species and the Diablos is the female, although I haven't found any evidence to back this claim up, so I doubt it's true. As well as appearing in many of the main Monster Hunter series of games, Diablos also appears in many of the spin-offs, including Monster Hunter Stories, as well as the collectible card game and the manga. Have I mentioned the manga before on this show? If you're not reading Monster Hunter Flash Hunter, you really should be. It's a fantastic story and a great way to learn more about all of the monsters and various aspects of the lore in this game. Well, that about wraps up this episode. I hope you found the hunting tips helpful, and I hope you also enjoyed the lore. If you did, please be sure to click all the buttons. This is YouTube, and it sure does help me out a lot. Oh, and hey, if you'd like to see a specific monster covered in a future episode, go ahead and leave it in a comment down below. I'd love to see what you think. As always, this has been Strawfoot. Peace out.